Hey, welcome. How are you, LinkedIn fam, Facebook, and YouTube? This is GI. So good to see you. I'm joined by Coach Sean Austin, and we are going to get started in just a few minutes. Let me log on to LinkedIn audio, and I'll be right with you. Hey, Coach, go ahead and introduce yourself and just kind of tell them what we do every week.
Hey guys, Coach Austin here, coming live from you from the downtown Houston area. Just finished wrapping up a strategy session with my legal team and compliance team. But I am CEO of a business strategy firm here, Austin Business Strategies, principal office, Houston, Texas. And I like working with GI and the team here because we're looking at diversity in government contracting. We're looking at how to strategically position ourselves in that endeavor. Sometimes I can be at my desk looking really nice, and sometimes we got to be on the road and doing this stuff in real time, right? So I got about a 30, 40-minute route to my office because I'm downtown Houston now. But what we do is give you guys real world samples, education, knowledge, wisdom, gems, they call it, but things you can really do practically. In the space that you're in to make sure you're positioned for those government contracting opportunities in the private and public sector. We, with our Bank Ready brand, get you guys ready for those opportunities, which is the biggest part for us, is the biggest headache. How do we position ourselves for that? How does that work out for everyone in that space? So I'm here to add my guidance and expertise in that field. GI does a great job on her end, and Dr. Travis and others who will be coming through hopefully. But every Wednesday, 6 o'clock Central, we are here, either mobile or in our offices, to give you guys what you need to get you in that space. So thank you, Jeff, for allowing me to have space with you today.
No, this is great. I am so happy that you're here. We're going live as well on LinkedIn audio. Want to say welcome. For those of you who don't know me, you just met another part of the amazing team that has assembled here to just be a resource and to give insight into this thing we call government contracting. Welcome everybody on LinkedIn audio. We are also on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube. I'm Michelle Gardner-Ince, aka GI, and just give you a little background. 27 years in the Air Force, have been done very large jobs in the Air Force in the profit loss arena. Managed $1 billion portfolio, 7,000 people. 87 locations, serving 350,000 people. So leadership is my jam. I've always been entrepreneurial minded and focused, but also service focused. And so all I've ever done in my adult life is serve military members and their families, providing hospitality and retail and food services. That's everything from, we call it cradle to grave. So that's from childcare centers to the mortuary and everything in between, department stores, gyms, golf courses, bowling, marinas, you name it, hotels, and restaurants. And so it's my pleasure to talk with you and to bring such an amazing group of folks together. I want to welcome the LinkedIn audio folks. Thank you for joining as well. We're talking today about positioning yourself for success in government contracting. And how this all started is in 2019, I started my LinkedIn journey, expecting to be a LinkedIn top voice. I always start with the end in mind. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but if you saw one of my posts last week, I met a guy who was, the only veteran LinkedIn top voice, and he mentored me. And in 2019, November, almost a year ago now, they named me a LinkedIn top voice for the veteran and military community. And I would say it's probably similar to being an influencer, only there's no pay and it's a whole lot of extra work. But the bottom line is, when they started the LinkedIn audio, what happened is they offered me the opportunity to be a beta tester And then I said, if I'm going to have this great honor, I'm going to use it for the veteran business community. And voila, that's how the equity and government contracting space, this LinkedIn audio and now LinkedIn Live effort came. And this also just was to bring insight, right? And to bring information and enable more people to be successful in this space we call government contracting. So, for those of you who don't know, how many of you are new on the LinkedIn audio side? Raise your hand. If you're new to LinkedIn audio, I'm trying to speak real quick because we're going to hold to an hour, 7 to 8 p.m. Sometime we go to 8:30. But it's my son's birthday. He's turning 25, grown man. That he's a baby. He doesn't think he's a baby, but but anyway, he just flew in from Dallas, and we're gonna start the celebration and just enjoy him as a young man. And he's amazing. Has done some tremendous things. So with that, this executive order started in 2021. President Biden basically said, "I'm challenging all federal agencies to award more money, contract dollars to minority, women, veteran, LGBTQ, and disabled vendors, and to increase the number of vendors, because while the government has been increasing its money being spent, it has gone to the same companies. And so, believe it or not, out of all the trillions of dollars spent, only 1.7% or so goes to the Black community in the form of government contracts. So this is all about demystifying government. How do you position yourself for success? Because even though President Biden asked the federal government to do action plans and he put it in performance plans of senior executives, companies have to be ready and they have to know what they need to do. And that's what this really is all about, just positioning yourself for success. I'm joined by Coach Sean Austin. Since you didn't get to do your intro while the LinkedIn audio folks are here, I'm going to ask you to do that. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. If you got questions, please raise your hand and come to the stage. So go ahead, Coach, and then we'll talk about some of the things we can do.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? I want to make sure my audio is good on the road.
Yep.
Great. Hey, LinkedIn audio, what's going on? Coach Sean Austin.
Oh my God, Coach. I've been muted this whole time. Please forgive me. I've been muted this whole time. I'm just talking to y'all. Please forgive me. I know they can hear me on LinkedIn Live, but I was muted on the LinkedIn audio. So go ahead. I'll repeat what I said, but I did a whole intro, y'all, probably about 3-4 minutes. Please forgive.
Oh no.
Go ahead, Coach.
You said some good stuff too. Yeah, because I like you said about the statistics. So Coach Sean Austin, CEO of Austin Business Strategies. As you can tell, I'm headed from downtown Houston to my office. So we're giving you this stuff in real time, ladies and gentlemen, on how, and I like the topic today, positioning for success in that space. And that's what our Bank Ready brand is doing for folks, making sure you've got the right plan and strategy in place, making certain you have the right credentials, because without those minority and business certifications, we're not popping up on the vendor protocols and those vendor pools like we need to, those supplier pools like we need to, and making sure that that is positioning you for success. And that's what we've been doing, been in that space for 17 years now, helped a couple of companies, and I say couple modestly, but we have a few brands that we're working with to make sure you're in that right space. So we love what we do. The Bank Ready brand is kind of the getting in the weeds and down dirty with you guys, but we're definitely a bridge between the small business community and the government and private contracting space. So definitely happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who didn't hear, I'm not going to do my intro. If we have time at the end, we'll do that. If not, come back next week. But we're here every Wednesday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're talking all things government contracting. Please connect with people in the room. If you have not done that already, and hit that arrow on the bottom right-hand corner of your phone or your iPad and invite folks. That smiley face in the middle. If you agree or love something or want to give a reaction, you can do that there. When you come to the stage, please raise your hand. That's when it really gets good, is the questions that you might have of how you can better position yourself. Coach is very knowledgeable, and we'll be joined later by some other folks. But when you come to the stage, it is not your microphone near your picture that you push to unmute. It is the mute button at the bottom right hand corner, and the raise your hand button is on the left side of the screen. So for those of you who are on LinkedIn and LinkedIn Live, let me know that you're there by putting a comment in the chat there. If you have a question, again, I'm Michelle Gardner-Ince. I work for the VA. Everything that I say is GI's opinion. Everything that I'll be talking about is public knowledge. I don't have access to any contracts. I don't know any inside info, but I do know some folks who may have some contracts, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. But really, this is about you having a better understanding of government contracting and how do you position yourself. So are there any questions before I turn it over to Coach? Because I'm going to ask you to kind of talk about how do people get positioned into the right places and the right rooms. And I think in our community, Coach, when we can just have a conversation until somebody comes to the stage, is that, this equity action effort by the president has the potential to make a whole bunch of millionaires and to change legacy wealth. And that's really what this is about. Only 4% of women-owned businesses will ever generate over $1 million in revenue. So, that's my passion. I want to say that I inspired some women. We have inspired women to get into the government contracting space and bring their services and products to the government. So if you will, kind of talk about, how important that positioning is before they even get to the contract.
I'll give an example of case in point. Probably 6 families, 6 different women. 2 of those women are sisters in the construction space. Another 2 women are in real estate as well. They're good friends, business colleagues, and I've got a doctor and an engineering firm on the other side. And what we're doing with them is they do great, and all women do great in the marketplace, in their respective fields, day to day, either W-2, working for a firm or whatever. And they're going business to client, which is like most of us do, and it's fine. But that B2B, business to business or business to government lane, for us starts with just a mindset of, okay, I can do what I'm doing just at a larger scale. Let's get our systems in place. Let's make sure what we're doing can be taught to other staff members out the gate. Because you're going to have to start thinking about hiring on other staff to take on a larger capability. Let's just be honest with that. You may start off like you are now, but if the contract size says go bigger, go home, right? But we have to think about scale, right? And scale can happen very quickly. And for me, I've seen businesses fail, like they'll fall off a cliff because they can't handle scale and they can't handle capacity. So we make sure that their NAICS codes and their industry codes and how their LLCs, for example, or S corps are structured properly, so that the business of doing business is right and tight. Okay.
And when you say, let me ask a couple of questions and maybe clarify for some folks who may not be as sophisticated in the space as you are. So scale, you mean growing, right? Growing is what we mean by scale, but then also saying that they're ready to do business. Well, why do they fail? Even after they scale, what have you seen are some of the factors that maybe they couldn't deal with the growth, right? And what were some of the factors that you've seen?
So when we're talking about businesses scaling, growing, how do you take yourself from 6 people on staff? You're making $400,000 annually, $800,000 annually, whatever that gross revenue is. So your staff can handle that much revenue. If you go from 800,000 in revenue to say 8 million in revenue, how can you handle that? 500 clients, 1,500 clients, or 3,000 clients, right? What does that look like? So we have to be able to look at the market and say, how can I scale, grow into that type of revenue base and remain profitable, remain efficient, and give the same quality of service that got me the contract in the first place, that even got me the attention in the first place. And I will say there's a thing called at scale. There's
Right.
scaling, and then at scale is that multiplier effect. And when we're building out your business models and doing 5-year projections, we look at that, right? What is it going to take? How many employees at this level, that level, that the management team, the owners, CEOs, whoever we're working with, they're ready for that. And there's a time span where you can grow into that. So don't be scared of
Right.
scale or at scale, but you can grow into it. If what I've seen is that when we don't prepare and it hits you, you like the numbers and the contract looks great, but you haven't prepared one iota for that increase in client base and profitability and revenue, and you definitely don't have systems to grow. If we
Right.
have systems in place for the little things, so that whoever's in that position can train 5 or 6 others, right? That's the mindset we want to start to deploy early on to make sure we can handle that capacity.
Beautiful, beautiful. So are there any questions? Oh, anybody got any questions? Okay, great. One person, somebody raised their hand. Can you come back, whoever it is? I didn't mean to kick you off. I couldn't hit the accept button fast enough. If you have a question, please raise your hand, come to the screen. If you are on Facebook or LinkedIn, please introduce yourself and your company and what you do and what your question is, and we'll be happy to answer it. Does anybody on the LinkedIn audio want to come back to the stage? I saw somebody raise their hand. Welcome, Hugh, Monique, Tasha, Dr. Seal. How you say, Dr. J, Dr. Jackson, Amy, Dwayne, Bruce. Hey, good to see you, Bruce. Welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while. You need to come to the stage and give us an update of what you've been doing. Annette, Victor, Shauna, Tanisha. Hey, lady, we're gonna hook up. Tanisha has not missed one session. I'm just saying, and we've been doing this since March. Deidre, John, Mark, and Christopher, welcome. If you want to invite somebody, please do that. If you have a question, one of the things I think positioning yourself, the key piece is, I met with a company today that phenomenal capabilities. I mean, very focused and has everything, but the relationship piece, and is huge. And this week I had a session with the Catalyst Business Center. And if you're, whether you're in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama or not, but if you're trying to do business in Huntsville, Alabama, you want to check out Catalyst Business Center. And they, one of the things that they had a briefing on was taking contacts to contracts. And it was a briefing from a larger, no longer small business. And they talked about how important it is, your relationship, and much like you talk about, Coach, building that relationship with that small business liaison or that small business program manager. And I was amazed that I asked her a question. I said, are you a travel agent or are you a tour guide? And here's what she said. She said, I'm a travel agent in the beginning. I said, yeah, come in. Yeah. And they said the same thing that you said too, coaches. Bring us an opportunity, especially when you're a small or disadvantaged and you're going to a large. If you bring them the opportunity, then they back you up. You prime and they and they sub. Or sometimes it might be vice versa. But they said it works better when you don't just come to us. The same thing I keep saying, oh, what do you do? She was like, there is Google, there is our website. Like you're spending the precious 15-30 minutes you have with us talking about what do you do? Instead of, she said, you should know what we do before you even walk up to the table. And then she said, once I decide I'm going to be your tour guide, I see you've got what we're looking for. There may be an opportunity. Now I'm a tour guide, and you must do what we say. She said, if I say change and adjust your capability statement, then do that. Because I know the internal customers I'm trying to sell you to. And that's the part that was really amazing to me, is many times with these corporate and even with the federal government, when you're coming into the small business, we're advocates. We're door openers for the inside part of those organizations. So when you don't do what they say, or you try to tell them, well, no, I think the strategy should be X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, do you know me more than you know me more than I know my own organization. Okay. So what do you think, Coach? And does anybody anybody in the audience want to ask a question about relationships and how important it is to leverage those relationships to position you for success as well?
Those relationships are so powerful.
They are. Somebody, okay, who wants to speak? Oh, does anybody want to come to the stage? I thought I keep seeing somebody raise their hand. I don't know if somebody's doing that, but and they don't realize it. But if you do want to ask a question, hey, this is the time. This is free information, free insight. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to take advantage of this time because one, I get paid pretty handsomely to help in that space, and Dr. Travis does as well. So when you get that time to get this free kind of candid advice, man, go for it. In that relationship space, I'm never going for a contract. I'm going for, I want to get to know this person. I want to get cool with this person. Most events I go to, I'm the last one to leave. I'm helping somebody bring something to their car.
Yep. All those
I
things
got in
matter.
so good with. Yes, it matters. The lady that's over the small business development with Fort Bend County. I'm already got my contract laid out. I'm good with it. She was late getting back to us and apologized to my staff. I'm so sorry. I've been tied up. Tell coach I'm here. I didn't forgot about you. Da da da. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? And come to find out there's some things going on there that I can even layer on a little bit more. So, but it's just that person when they know you and they understand that you have what you got. I brought attention to their issues. Hey, listen,
and
y'all are
that's
trying to do
another
this.
strategy.
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
No, I said that's another strategy. Bring attention to something they need help with that they may not even realize they need help with, and they don't know that you're the solution. Hey, Dr. D, we got Dr. Travis Davis here, LinkedIn audio over here on the LinkedIn live side, and we want to welcome you from Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. What's going on? We're talking about relationships and just in general, how do we help companies posture for success? And we just jump in. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here, GI. Always a great time to have these type of conversations.
Yes.
Relationships are definitely key to all business, period, not just government contracting. But I always say, the man upstairs has already placed somebody on this earth that can change your life. They just haven't heard you yet. So
yep.
You need to utilize your voice so you can get in front of these individuals. Usually they have all the resources that you need. And that plays the same part with government contracting, whether you're trying to introduce yourself to the government or introducing yourself to large primes or large small businesses. You got to get in the streets. Shake hands and kiss babies is my motto.
And how do you do that? You're not kissing all the babies, are you? You're not kissing every baby you see, are you, Dr. D?
Nah, just the babies for my formula.
Tell us more about that. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, if you follow the money and you create a pipeline of opportunity towards the customer that has the majority of your money, now the customer really has no choice but to see you.
Yep.
because you should have, 10, 15 opportunities just for that one customer that you're going after. So, the faster you can lose, that's what most of us say. But I always, you can't lose the opportunity that you don't have.
Absolutely.
But the faster you go in there and hit that submit button and they let you know that you haven't been awarded, it's the faster that you learn how to get awarded.
Yes.
But
Yes.
again, if I got all of these opportunities in my pipeline and I'm getting in front of the customer from capability debriefings, I'm showing up to the industry day, I'm paying attention to the opportunities they got because I'm on their webinars, like I'm just there. And just like this, for instance, I get on live video meetings with the government. It's a guaranteed fact I'm the only person with a virtual background that has my brand on it with my email on it. And I ask
So
questions,
cool.
let
So cool.
me ask a question so my face can stand out.
Hey, so how many of you in LinkedIn audio have a background that has your company name, logo, email, or a QR code where they can reach you? Give me a reaction. Thumbs up, heart, or something. If you in the audience, how many in the audience have a background, a Zoom background? Okay, we got 1, 2, 3 out of 19 people. And if you're on LinkedIn Live and you want to put in the chat, let me know. But just a marketing tip. It don't cost you nothing. Go out on Canva. That's Canva. And you can put Zoom backgrounds. And guess what? You can get you design you a background. When I go off camera, there's a picture with a QR code. Even when I go off camera to, just links to my LinkedIn, but it's free marketing. So Dr. D, let's wrap. So you're on these Zooms. What kind of questions are you asking on the Zoom? Because a lot of people are doing these virtual events, and people say, "Oh, I need to see them. I need to talk to them." What do you do? What's your approach to standing out when you're on these meetings, and what kind of homework do you do prior to?
Oh, well, you always got to first understand the agency's mission statement. I think that's very important that you know the mission of the customer that you want to go after. So that's the first place that we're starting. But after that, I mean, majority of them, there's articles that you can read about the agency. Uh, Again, that's why you want to go to industry day, find out what they got going on, what their problems are. All of their small business events that they got going on. I really want to pay attention to the nonprofit organizations that they're attached to because usually they have events that decision makers or stakeholders of contracts are attending to speak at, and you wouldn't even be able to hear them unless you're part of that nonprofit organization.
Hold on right there. You just dropped a brick. That is huge. And what he means by nonprofit or professional associations like AFCEA, right, which has all the communications and IT. Then you've got SAME, that's spelled SAME, that's the construction folks. Then there's, you got the medical, you got the logistics. I think it's called the American Logistics Association. But you have all these organizations, even like AUSA. Every AUSA is a great organization if you want to do business with the Army. Air Force Association is a great organization if you want to do business with the Air Force. But all of these professional agency associations, like you said, Dr. D, they ask these government decision makers to come speak as keynotes, and they generally give some secret sauce at those events that they don't necessarily give at a regular event. So keep going. I hope I didn't throw you off. I just wanted to kind of expound on that.
No, not at all. Yeah, so I'm at those events listening to what's going on there. And the biggest thing is, again, I don't like to sit in rooms and be quiet. I want people to see my face, see my brand, And I'm trying to ask educational questions that tie to the opportunities that I want to go after. So the hardest part of networking and things is, usually people don't know what they want. So they don't know who they need to ask questions to. And once you get in front of that individual, what the hell you need to ask them?
That is the issue.
If you pre-plan for this stuff, you kind of know. And I actually have like probably 30 questions in a template that I utilize to get them. Like, I don't want a yes or no answer.
Yeah, that's good.
I need them to explain what's going on in their words so I can get their definition to things. Yeah. And once I have their definitions to certain things, I'm utilizing their words. Again, their words, not my words.
Good sales technique.
I have to utilize their words in my proposals. I have to utilize their words in my email. So as soon as I get back home, I'm sending an email and I'm bullet pointing the 3 things that we talked about in their words. Yeah. And I'm thanking them in their words. And now I send that email and it's about a follow-up. Like, what are you doing? What reminder are you setting for yourself to follow up for that individual? What CRM do you have in place to remember who you talked to, when you talked to them, and what's the last conversation that you talked about? And most importantly, what can this person help you with?
Yes.
That helps things out. But when you don't have a system or you're not organized in that aspect, it makes this networking journey a whole lot harder.
And what do you say to folks, that don't necessarily, somebody asked to speak. Hey, Charles, hold on. We got Charles Walker from on LinkedIn audio. You got a question? Oops, Charles, I lost you. Come on back up. Look like you raised your hand. There you are. I got you on stage. Can you hit your mic and unmute? Do you have a question or a statement?
Yes, I didn't have a question. I was just agreeing with what he was saying. That's good information. I hit the wrong button, but I apologize.
Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us. And even by mistake, we're glad that you came up. Maybe that'll incentivize some other folks to come on up.
Absolutely, I appreciate you. Absolutely.
Thank you. So let me see. We got Travis. You coming on both sides, Travis?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. So make sure. Okay, we got you on both sides. Look, I want to ask you, because I'm looking at one of these slides that were shared earlier, where I was telling you about this larger company was talking about how to meet and get introduced. One of the things they said is be focused and positive. They said, do not bash other competitors. They said the small business world is very small. So don't think, well, we do something better than X, Y, and Z, and they're not really that good. It's a turnoff, because they said you never know. You get down the road, you say you want to like everybody you work with, but you don't necessarily, that doesn't have to be the main factor. Sometimes you may have to work with them, and the world is small, and they figure if you talk about them, you're going to talk about your next partner. And they said, talk about all the locations and the types of customers you work with, which I thought was quite powerful, in that they said, oh, I didn't know. Oh, we have work over in Houston. We might be in DC, but you got some in Houston? Oh, they said, if you don't tell them where your reach is, then they don't know. And they said, also identify opportunities and discuss particular opportunities. And here's key one: share who you know. I just was on a phone call with a small business, and they were interested in a certain effort. And I said, who do you know over there? They said, well, I don't know anybody. I said, you should know the org chart. You may not know them personally, but you should know the org chart. Oh, I know the executive there is X, Y, and Z. I know this person is the CIO. I know this person is this. You should be familiar, because when these folks who want to bring you into the team, they want to know that you already know the lay of the land. Did you want to jump in, Coach? I saw you nodding.
No, I was nodding because it is important to know who works there. You need to know. It's just like playing in sports, right? I want to know who my competition is and who I'm going up against, offense and defense. But when in this thing called business, to build relationships, people I've seen have a high level of respect when they know you did some homework. And they
Yes.
know, okay, well, you know about us. You go back at, especially if they're either publicly traded companies or they're working with an industry the way you can go back and listen to some old audios or study that market and understand what's happening to them. And I ask questions about, how are you guys tackling this particular initiative or what's going on with this, that, and the third. And you can have a conversation and now
Yep.
you're relatable to them. It's like, hey, they'll think you know more about the market than they do. And especially you can bring up something that they either didn't know about,
Yep.
might kind of stalk them a little bit. And like, I didn't think about that. And then now you can become almost a liaison consultant to them on the subject matter that you just read an article about. They don't know you don't know it in depth, but it just allows them to have more conversation instead of these open-ended questions like Dr. Travis was talking about. I don't want a yes or no either. I want to really talk to you about what's going on and then talking about what your initiatives are as a company, as a brand. Where are you going? And you see what this company is doing, say, y'all would like to see if we can partner in this initiative. Here's what I offer. I see you guys doing this. We could offer this to the table. And all of that is relationship building. All of that is kind of dating your future check writer, if you will. And it all goes to that know, like, and trust. You can almost do know, like, and trust in one conversation. And I'm so glad he brought up that nonprofit piece, because even as for-profit businesses, everyone
Yes.
should have a nonprofit to some
Yes.
extent, man.
Yes.
The National Football League was a nonprofit for a while, as that big juggernaut of a company. So it's just doing business under a different tax election, and all that's relationship building. And that nonprofit piece is
It's
massive,
huge.
Travis. So I'm so glad you brought that up, brother.
It is huge, and glad you mentioned that folks should have a nonprofit, because a lot of women, minority, veterans have a heart to serve and they want to have nonprofits, but it doesn't mean it should be at a sacrifice, right? I mean, when we talk about I hear veterans say, oh, I got my VA disability, I got my retirement, my wife works, so it's okay. I don't have to I'm willing to do this because I just want to serve. Well, there are too many grants, too many opportunities to ask other larger businesses to support your efforts for you to be doing that at a sacrifice. And the other thing is, there's a company called First Nations Group. If you get a chance to look them up, they're in Florida, and their website, their marketing, their strategy is so integrated. Their nonprofit versus their for-profit. You can't tell where one stops and where the other starts. They give they select a couple of veteran-owned companies every year under their foundation, and they give their employees credit when they work in those organizations. So they built a whole social responsibility enterprise that is in support of their for-profit, and it gets them. And guess what? They get to it opens some doors for new partners and new opportunities as well. You got something, Dr. D?
No. Again, you guys are hitting it on the money. But I always say that the best way to network and to build relationships is to learn how to ask questions.
True.
You got to get. Nobody cares about what you know how to do.
Say it again. Say it again.
Nobody cares about what you know how to do, and everybody's just worried about how are you going to solve their problem.
They just want to know what can you do that helps me.
That's it. So if you get in the habit of asking the right questions so people can tell you what their problem is, and then you learn how to direct those questions towards a solution, and you make the person think that they created the solution, you're in there.
Sound like you're a master at that, doesn't it? Hey, how many of y'all think, give me a thumbs up, heart, something. How many of y'all think that Dr. D is good at that?
I'm a little good at it. That's how we.
That's how you got a few opportunities, didn't you? Okay.
Quite a few of them.
Hey, I know. Hey, Charles is giving you a hand clap. We got Deidre, John. I saw Tanisha give a couple of hearts. So let's talk about some more tactics. So once you have made the contact and you send that follow up email, I'm just going to kind of follow your process here, Dr. D. What's happening next?
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, if you have this planned out correctly, again, you're not going to be talking to the entire government. And honestly, this stuff don't take all day. So, really, after I'm getting done with that portion of contact, I mean, we're moving on to the next strategy for the next opportunity. So, if you got all of these opportunities lined up in the hopper, it's like, okay, I took the actions towards that for these first few hours of my day. But now, how do the next few hours of my day get structured? Who do I need to contact about the next opportunities? And again, if you're focused, everybody ends up talking to everybody. Like it's a very small world. So if Tim is over here and I'm consistently showing up how I'm supposed to, it just so happens that one day Tim comes across Ron at lunch and they start talking to each other and they like, yo, you know that guy Travis at Malmar? Like, does he send you emails every day? I'll be damned, he does it to me too. Like, he's very consistent, and they're like, well, if he treats me this way and he just treated Ron this way, like, it must mean that he has his stuff together. Like, and it's just
somebody's asking how do you ask a question? I was like, just type.
So how do you? Oh, they're asking on the app. How do you?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the easiest aspect of it is, making sure that you're not all over the place. Because if you're spread out trying to work with the whole government, nobody gets to learn who you are.
Yeah, and it's very important to be niched down.
Yeah.
And let me just talk about something that I think needs to be important. People like to come in and say, I can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is you can't. You cannot do everything, right? So, using your be very niched and promise, keep your promises. Don't misrepresent your experience or your past performance, because many times, and this is what this particular lady in charge of small business programs at this company said. She said, once I go from a travel agent to being a tour guide, I'm guiding you to the right people inside my company. And if you misrepresent and say, oh yeah, I can do that, or I have done that, and then when they start going through the checking out process, you can't deliver, that makes her reputation, it jeopardizes her reputation. And the next time she's trying to bring another small business in the door, it can be harder. Victor on LinkedIn is saying, what would be an example of a good question he's saying to ask, Dr. D?
I gotta go to my well, let me just start off the top. Here's a simple question that often can find you a lot of success. Ask an organization, how do you measure success? Most of us are coming in here and we're saying, I know how to make your company successful. Well, why don't you ask them how they measure success and get their words on what they view success to be? Because again, nobody cares what you think success is. They didn't ask you for your views and opinions on what you believe success looks like to them. So by you asking that small question, which we often overlook, you now have the words as well as you have the vision of the decision maker on what they believe success is, and that's all that you should be planning towards. Anything else is unnecessary.
That is so good. And the reason that's good is because many times I've seen where vendors want to create something new. I'm the best this, and I want to give them that. They don't know they need it. Well, I don't know you to know that what you're talking about, that I would, accept that just because you say it's so, or just because you demo a system doesn't make me want to do it, because I may have to do all these other integrations. I mean, it may be this huge, and then that rolls into somebody else's, rice bowl, and then I don't want to be at odds with them, and so it may be really great, but I don't want to do that. And so I think that's a very key nugget there is give them what they ask for. However they define success, do that. And then after relationship builds, they may trust you to help them get to another better solution. What do you think about that? Anybody want to come to the stage? Go ahead, jump in. Hey, Chanel, come on to the stage if you want to. I see you're in the audience there.
I know one of the things that we've done, if I can hop in on it real quick, I got to head out in 10. When I'm building relationships for sure, and knowing that I have clients that I want to feel I'm trying to serve them before I even serve me, because that indirectly ends up serving me. I'll ask, say, the program manager, as we're kind of the events are winding down, you've done the whole vendor booth thing, you've talked, and I'll just start to talk with them. How did this go today? Did you meet your goals? What is it you guys are trying to accomplish? Is there one area that you're trying to feel that maybe you haven't yet? I have a few clients, what can I do to maybe help serve you guys while we're here? And they'll always look at that look like, well, and they'll tell you what they're missing. And then, how long have you been, kind of fighting that? How long have you been looking for that particular this, that, and the third? And man, it's been about a year or it's been 6 months. Oh, this is pretty new. And they'll tell you exactly where they have a deficiency. And be honest, of course, if you can help solve that or not. For me, I've got clients in a couple of different genres, so I'm looking for certain things: construction, healthcare, this, that, and the third. And when I find a space, even if it's for me, and if I don't know somebody, if I can find someone for them and refer a source over, that in itself is a deeper level of relationship building. That is not all about you sliding the capability, saving over, or trying to get a contract, because you can ultimately end up building your own. And if it's not today, I'll plant a seed for myself and my clients later on down the road, to where they come back, hey, I know you got a healthcare client. We're looking for this. What do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Or I need a chiropractor to come speak at this event. What do you have? Travis talked about industry day. I was on industry day today. I texted him. They had the government-wide industry day on Zoom. It was like from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they were breaking down everything about the government contracts. And you had the Minority Business Development Agency on there giving their gems, people asking questions back and forth. It was a lot. Those industry days can teach you a lot. So please don't underestimate when he said industry day, because those are massive, massive opportunities to just network and get to know people. And this was on Zoom, and we were able to talk in real time. So don't underestimate those days for sure.
Well, let's talk industry days, because some people say I go and I don't get anything. What do you say to that response? Hey Chanel, how are you? Just speak up. Come on in, girl. Jump in at any time.
Okay, sure. I'm great.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and just say, for industry days, I in reference to that, I do hear people say that they didn't get anything out of it, or it was generic. I attend industry days and the B2B matchmaking with companies, and it's somewhat what you make of it. You're in there also to get the contacts. And if you go informed about either the large business, the integrator, or the agency, then you also can get more out of it, because you can have an informed conversation with them.
That's great. That's great. What else? Anybody else want to jump in on that?
Well, when I hear people didn't get anything out of industry day, my first question is always like, did you expect to get a contract? Like, so since we know that they weren't handing out contracts, well, what did you go there for? Because you couldn't have possibly went there to win a contract. So in my mind, you had absolutely no mission of why you went to that industry day. So yes, you did waste your time. But again, if you're focused, like if my customer is the Army and I'm showing up at the Army industry day and I know the 18 opportunities that I want to go at after the Army, well, everybody's in the room that I need to talk to, from the prime contractor to potential small businesses that I could partner with. as well as potentially, hopefully, the government decision maker or stakeholder on that side of the agency. So yeah, I only need to be in there for 15 minutes. I don't even need to stay for the whole time because I'm focused. I know exactly what I want out of this. So yeah, if I ever hear that, I know they have no plan.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, because if you have a plan, you'll know exactly what you want to, what your objective is, right? So go ahead, Coach. I know you got to run. Come on, let you jump in here, and then I'm going to go over to Chanel, and we just had Tasha Singleton join us as well.
Yeah. Before I head out, I mean, when it comes to that, I'm just like the same with Travis. I mean, what was your plan walking in the door? And I'm talking about Chamber of Commerce meetings, the little simple, I say simple, the little small cocktail events they have. You have to have a plan of action of why you're there, what you're attacking, who you're going to talk to, and if anything, just remember, before you walked in that door, you didn't know any of these people like that. You don't know who's going to be presenting, why they're presenting. So I'm listening for certain keywords that will prompt me to, oh, okay, got it. I'm looking for new measures, or like the Air Force was talking today about how they're not going to be spending as much money on, say, planners and things of that nature because people are using more Outlook and whatever. So if I was looking to buy a bunch of planners, I better not do that no more, because they're trying to be more efficient in that space. They're spending money on construction and professional services, top two. And here's one that's spending, and here's why, and here's where. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. So I'm listening for, again, following the money. Where's the money going? Why they're spending it, who they're spending it with, and what is their 2023 goals for next year.
Who did the special effects? I see that Dr. Dita put the cash register sound. I'm going to put spin.gov. Isn't it spin.gov? Spin. I'm sorry. Is it GovSpend?
USA Spending.gov?
USA Spending.gov. Okay, USA Spending.gov.
And they said it today. I mean, they said it more times than you should a stick at today. Who was spending what? They had the breakout sessions over there. I got off one, my staff got on another, so I want them to hear certain things. And now I know exactly what to do, more so for 2023. I was going to make a trip to attend one event. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that because they're not going to be talking about what I want to hear. Let me go here. So, I mean, if you don't know what's going on in industry days, I don't know what I don't know what people are thinking.
I think they just don't know. I really do. Go
well,
ahead,
they need us.
Chanel.
They need us. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Go ahead, Chanel.
Recently, I attended Industry Day, but it was on the state level, and I went there for my customers, my clients, and some of the agencies, once they recognized my background in federal from working on site, they were like, hey, we have an opportunity coming up, or they wanted to engage with me directly as, not with my customers. And that also happened on the recent federal B2B matchmaking. So if you go there and you know what to say, you know what they're looking for. And also another thing, it's important to know who the stakeholders are and like where they come in the decision-making process.
Thank you.
Because if you're talking to the program or contracts office and you're not speaking their language or what they're looking for, then that's also a missed opportunity.
That's
so
gold.
Just do your research. Know who you're talking to. I've even been on pitches with customers where they're speaking about certain things and we're not talking to the program office, we're talking to the CEO. So you have to know who you're talking to.
That's awesome. Well, we got Tasha Singleton here. As you heard already, it's important to know who you're talking to, what you're talking to them about. Coach mentioned about listening for keywords. Dr. D talked about how important it is to have a plan before you get there, know who you're going to talk to, what you want to talk to them about. And so, hey, Tasha, what you got, lady? Welcome.
Hi, Tasha Singleton, and thank you so much for having me, G&I.
Always.
My question is this, because like me, many people are new to the government space. So my mindset was I'm going to go to my first industry education event, and with the coming from the vantage point of, I just want to know what goes on and how I should approach it in the future. So my question is, what tips do you have for anyone who is new to the industry and this is going to be their first time attending one of these events?
Good question.
I
Doctor,
can chime
go
in.
ahead. Go
This
ahead.
Chanel.
Go ahead.
Am I the only one getting feedback?
It might be. Let me turn my
No.
speaker down. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. When you're attending the events, I will recommend that you do a little research and find out which customers buy your products, because that's another thing. I've noticed that some businesses, they'll talk to the wrong office about what, like it's not the appropriate office. They don't buy chairs. This office, their mission is like jet. You're talking to them about something that's not relevant. So I would say, before you go, do your research. Be open to meeting, even people that you aren't familiar with, or if you don't know what department they're in, just get those connections, because sometimes you may meet someone and they know someone in another department that needs your services. So I'd say be open to networking with any, especially the government personnel, but also other companies, because there's always room for partnerships, whether it be a large or small. You also have the opportunity to tap into their network once you become acquainted. For the most part, you want to make sure when you're attending the industry day, you know what this agency line of business is, and then what customers within the agency, what they're buying. You can use SAM, USA Spending. I'm trying to say, you go to the agency's website. They have reports out there about, what they're buying, what their issues are. But for the most part, industry day, you're just going for meet and greet. It's very generalized, but you never know. Like, some people walk into opportunities there as well. Great.
What do you think, Tasha? What was the takeaway that you think you might be able to execute there? So when is the event?
Actually, I think the event is next month.
Okay.
Actually, it's in November.
Okay.
But my biggest takeaway was, I knew about the research and everything, but I do need to go ahead and do more research to see where they're spending. Some people have been told to me by the person I was working with that this particular agency is who I need to work with. But yeah, I do need to do my own research just in case, and be open to partnerships. Yeah. And I recommend, when you're doing your research, to find out what program office is buying, whatever your service or product is, so that, if you run into someone from one of those offices, you can do your pitch and they are actually looking for your product. So you can also just go find out which office purchased, and you can find that information on SAM and USA Spending. It tells you which office purchased that product or service and how much.
And I would just say, GI.
Great information. Thank you.
Hold on.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, Dr. D has some more nuggets.
Yeah, I would say, if it's, and this is just, for anybody, if it's your first time jumping out here, just go. I mean, go without a mission right now. Go get a taste of it. Go understand what happens at industry day. Don't take our word for it. Go find out for yourself what's going on. And if you can get a taste of the first one, you shouldn't go back to the next one with the same strategy that you went to the first one with. So go to the first one, get a taste of it, and then hopefully you'll come back home and you'll sit down and see, like, well, hold on. Well, I heard about some stuff on LinkedIn. I read some stuff on blog posts, and now that I just got a live taste of it, like, what should I do differently going forward? Because now I want to actually play in the space. And I heard some things at this meeting, at this industry day, that I could potentially attack. And now I don't want to play around no more. But I always say, the first time, I mean, just get a taste. You don't look, I make millions of dollars and I still don't know everything. So don't think that I got all the answers to what's supposed to happen of how you need to move forward for your success. And I'll tell you, how do you measure people's success? I don't know what your success looks like.
Yep.
So you go figure it out. Go get a taste of this thing so the brain, the mind can explore a world that it's never seen before. But now that it sees it, the brain is undefeated. It will put together a formula to get what you want. But go see what it is that you want. Take a taste of it. And that's my best opinion for people who are, it's your first time getting out here. Don't worry about all the lingo, because you're going to scare yourself away from opportunity.
And the lingo, let me tell you something. Everybody got an ego, and government folks do too. And everybody loves to teach. Everybody loves to share knowledge. So guess what? If you find somebody that is willing to go, I'm new to this thing. Play up, I'm new to this thing. And say, can you tell me more? What does that acronym mean? And you go, oh, okay. And is there anything else I should know? And you take notes or put it in your phone or whatever. It's like the teacher gets excited when the student is ready. And if you're going there and you don't know it, then that means you're ready. You want to know more. Ask those questions. I always tell, always, if you don't get a chance to do anything else, tell why you're in business. What is your why? Because that you never know how that will touch somebody else's why. And even, and it may touch their heart. And even if they don't, let's say they just say, I don't have anything, but man, there was this one girl, my God, it touched my heart. She wants to do this, and this, because she's trying to build legacy wealth, or she was a veteran and she was an electrician when she was in the veteran. Now she's doing, electrical consulting, and man, that she just something. We got to find something for her. I got to reach out to her. I want to take that. And so don't forget, I think the personal story, and it's got to be succinct. It can't be a whole story. It's got to be real succinct. But personal stories are critical for women and minority businesses, because you're trying to build trust. And the biases, just off of what they see initially, some kind can put that like this. But everybody wants to do business with somebody they know, like, and trust. And so if you share your story and it resonates with them, and it's in a memorable way, then what happens is that a lot of those barriers and those biases get put aside, and people lean in and want to hear and hear more. I'll just put it that way.
Yes,
stories fail, logic fail.
They have worked for me and some of my customers in the past, because you're still dealing with people. And I think that's the key thing to take away.
Yes. And Dr. D, you had something to say too. And then we're going to wrap up, because it's my baby's birthday, y'all. We're going to wrap up at right after Dr. D and Chanel have last words. We're going to wrap up. And so if you didn't ask your question, you can put it in the chat. I do normally go back afterwards and try to answer questions in the chat or put resources. So go ahead, Dr. D. You said story what?
Story sell and logic fails. Everybody buys.
And that goes against human nature. We think it's got to be logical, factual, all that.
I always remind my students, you bought the movie because of the story. So if you can get in the habit of understanding how to put people on this emotional roller coaster, people never buy logic. Like, even if you just think about yourself, like whatever you purchased today, it wasn't a logical purchase. It was an emotional purchase. You made it through emotion. So stories spark emotions. So you're selling emotions is what you're selling. The story allows you to sell the emotion, and you'll get what you want. Only after a person makes a purchase does logic kick in. And it's already too late after that. We already got the emotions, the transaction that happened, and we got to move on. So yeah, get in the habit of selling emotions.
Wow. Oh, you done taught me something. You're going to hear that again. I'm going to give you credit the first time. But after that, I put it in the chat, so it's institutionalized right there. But you will hear me say something about that. Hey, CJ's coming to the stage. You're gonna be our last question, and then we're gonna do a wrap up. What's up? Hey, CJ, we can't hear you.
Mike got them LinkedIn problems. LinkedIn be tripping. Mike got to go out, CJ, and come back in.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Come on, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, I wanted to say real quick, just to piggyback off the last gentleman, facts tell and stories sell.
Here another one. Facts tell and stories sell. Okay.
That's right.
I love it. Love it. I'm putting that in the chat too.
Thank you.
No, thank you. That's awesome.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Love it. Well, I hope y'all have picked up some nuggets today. We're going to wrap up. Charles, did you have anything? You're on stage. Did you have anything to say, Charles, before we wrap up? Did you pick up a nugget or two?
Yeah, can you hear me without an echo in there?
Go ahead. I do. I hear you.
This is a good nugget right here. And what I do at the GAN Group is I become an advocate for the contracting officers and other small businesses. We have the opportunity to see opportunities out there, and if it don't fit our wheelhouse, we are larger, and the GAN Group is larger in some NAICS scopes. You know, truthfully, we are larger. But if you see something out there for other vendors that you can do, become an advocate and reach out to those people and say, hey, I see this. Because we have tools in some of the organizations that we can see things in the pre-position stage, and we can see things before they happen. And so if you know it's not for you, but you see somebody else out there that's a small business is trying to do it, then support those people and become their advocate. And that's how you be a relationship, because, you know, when you become the 3 C's that I use is communicate, collaborate, and then cooperate with people. You grow your fan base, and when they see something out there for you, they'll come back to you. It happens like that. So, I appreciate you having something like this, because everybody's on this call right here should link up with each other, because you know that you have to have something in common because you came to the same spot at the same time. So now link in with these people and say, hey, I was on the call with you. I want to know what you do, and then do your own research, man. Yeah. If we do your research, you'll know from your own perspective what you want to do for your organization and the people you work with. And so I ain't going to hold you up, but reach out to me. I'm available to reach out to small businesses every day.
And so you said
just
communicate, collaborate,
communicate.
And what was the last one?
And cooperate.
Cooperate. Okay.
Cooperate.
Okay.
Because you have to cooperate through the collaboration and the communication. Because a lot of times people can lead, or there are bigger companies out there that's doing things that you want to do. So therefore, you have to communicate with those people, and collaborate with those people, and then you got to cooperate because you're trying to get to where they are.
Beautiful, right. Beautiful. So, thank you so much for joining us. What a great nuggets.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Tasha, any last word for us?
No, actually, I would just like to say thank you. And I learned a whole lot today, and I'm creating a plan now to make sure that I just go learn, meet people, and then I'll go back to the next one with a real plan and objective to make sure that I do get a contract.
And it's a living document, right? So that once you make that plan, you go to the next one, then you come back and tweak it. And I want to say, and you're not going to come back with a contract. I want to give you a dose of reality. One meeting, you didn't give it up on the first date. If you did, I don't want to know. But the reality is the government is not giving it up on the first date. It is 2 to 3 years from handshake to contract. We need to, as a community, we have got to realize these relationships take a while. So when you see it happening quickly, either it's a small purchase card, and there's nothing wrong with that, or it's a SAT level direct award. They need to spend that money now. You just happen to be the right person in front of them at the right time. But it just, I want to demystify and manage expectations. It just doesn't happen like that. But if you've got connections and you already work in a relationship, that may happen. I'm not saying it won't, but I hear more people say, give me a contract. And the reality is your competition is smaller because it's a woman, a veteran, a minority, but there's still competition. And that means it's not just going to be given. I'll put it that way. So words matter. And so, if you say, give me a contract to the wrong federal person, it sometime will let them know that you don't
go
understand.
to the IG.
Yeah, exactly. Go to the IG, exactly. Oh Lord, true that. CJ, and then I'm gonna go to you, Dr. D. No, I'm gonna go to Chanel, and then I'm gonna go to you, Dr. D. Chanel, any last words as we close out?
Yes. Another thing, when you go to industry day, I would just say to listen and go to as many sessions and meet as many people as you can, because they're telling you how they're going to spend the money, what their priorities are, what their challenges are. So another thing, you just want to make sure you're listening, because they're already giving you their game plan. They have strategic plans that go 5 years out or more. So you also want to listen, take notes. So that when you go do your research, you'll also know what you're looking for. So not just going to network, but also to learn.
And I think I'm glad you said go and see as many people, because I went to AUSA, and that place was so massive. It was like 3 football fields worth of people there, and I still didn't meet as many people as I wanted to. I had intentions of getting over to 3 or 4 more large companies, because I go and talk to them about opening doors for women veterans. So, I'm just trying to provide access. What they do when they get inside, that's what they do. But I didn't get around because I spent too much time with the same people. What do you have as a tip to that? And then I'm going to go ahead and go over to Dr. D. Chanel, you have any comments?
As far as meeting more people,
mm-hmm.
I try to have some informal timer. Make my conversations short, because sometimes, when we at conferences, people can eat up your time.
Okay.
So I just try to politely make sure that I get to at least, I make a goal of how many people I want to meet.
Oh, that's
Not
good.
that I'm going to get to that.
That's
but
good.
When I walk in, I know I want to meet more than one person. So I try to be, I would say, polite, but make sure that my time is used in a way that, I can meet more people if I needed to. I don't spend over 10 or 15 minutes talking to one person unless, it's a customer that's very interested, but I try not to waste my time. And I'm not saying meeting people and listening to their stories or listening to, what they have to say is a waste of time, but you only have a short period of time there. So you just have to make sure that time is used in a wise manner.
Okay, great. That's good. I'm not good at doing the quickies, but I like putting the informal timer. Say, hey, I got a meeting, I got a webinar, quick call I need to take. But I like the strategy. I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah, because I was able to meet over 20 people at the last conference that I went to, and it was many people there. In the past, I'm not able to speak to each person, but in the back of my mind, I was okay, I gotta cut this conversation short, because I want to meet at least a few more people.
Yeah, that's good. Dr. D.
Yeah. Well, for that issue, I play football, so we had something on the sideline called the Get Back Coach. Which
I've never heard of that. Tell us.
Yeah, his job usually is to make sure that the head coach get backs off the field and that the team is not on the field, or else it's going to be a penalty.
Right.
Coach is in the moment. He's not thinking about he's on the field, and if the referee runs into him, it's a 15-yard penalty.
Right.
So I understand I'm the coach. I'm the head of this thing, and I get into the heat of the moment. So I bring a get back coach with me.
That's good. That's
which
good.
is, maybe my assistant. If it's not my assistant, it's somebody who knows me. I could pay them $200 for the day to come sit with me and just watch me every time I talk to somebody. Like they have the timer.
Yeah.
2 minutes pop up. Hey, Dr. Davis, we need to come over here, and they interrupt the conversation, and
That's
then I
good.
get back
That's
up.
good. Love that
But
strategy.
it's worth $200 if
I'm gonna start a business with college students to go along with business owners just to help them do that. I think that's great. That's a great idea.
Works like a charm.
And that it does.
And the last thing that I would just give advice to close out of here is don't go talk to your friends and family about what we just discussed today. I mean, what advice could they possibly tell you? And that's where we start messing up. We start talking to people who have never been in a space because we heard about some information. And chances are that they're going to give you advice that their emotions created. So I would advise you, like, find other people who are in a space. That's, again, why you want to go to like an industry day or something. Like, you're putting yourself in a new community, people who understand what's going on. But I promise you, if you've never heard about government contracting, if nobody around you have ever done government contracting, and you go have a government contracting conversation, the minute you say the word government, their definition to government is negative. So it's nothing positive that's going to come out of that convo. You're just going to get more fear, and you're going to think that it doesn't work for you. So my best advice to everybody is find you somebody else to talk to about this. This is why you get coaches and you get a part of organizations and things that are on the same mission, so you can have educated conversations instead of poor conversations. Now, that's, and poor, when I say poor, is passing over opportunities repeatedly, because that's what poor people do. And we don't want to keep passing over these opportunities. So that's my best advice. And
why you stepping on people's neck there, Dr. D? You just stepping
on sometimes it just gotta happen like that. Tough love. It's tough love over here with me.
But I love it. That's what this room is all about. Go ahead. Somebody want to jump in?
Oh, no. I was saying I agree with that, because I've been in circles where when you mention government contracts or you mention anything about government programs, I just remove myself from the conversation because I know where it's heading. But it's important to be around people, especially if you really want to do this, that know what they're talking about, or none of us know everything that you can learn from, you can feed off of one another, but just make sure you're surrounding yourself, with people to uplift you and to encourage you, because it's not impossible. Like, there's so many people doing it. So I agree with Dr. Davis.
And so powerful that, until I started talking to Dr. D and Coach and you, Chanel, and others in this room, I never really, okay, I got to just step back for a moment, right? I've had an ID card, a military ID card from my first breath, okay? My father being in the military, and oh, by the way, his father only went to the 6th grade. His mother had a master's degree and was a teacher. Then on my mother's side, her mother only went to the 3rd grade and her father went to the 8th grade. So in one generation, the U.S. military, i.e. the government, changed the whole trajectory and wealth level of my family on both sides. And then I don't leave the military, right? I'm in that whole military environment my whole life growing up. And then I go into the Air Force. So think about, the government has been very good to me. I'm just going to say. So until I had this conversation and begin this dialogue, it didn't dawn on me to say, there's some other people who may not have had that same experience with the government. And that may be a hindrance or a mental mindness kind of block on them seeing that this is a big opportunity. Deidre, I see you joined us. Did you have a comment? Did I trigger something there for you? I didn't mean to. Deidre? You have to hit the button at the right bottom corner to unmic. The unmute. Hey, Deidre. Okay. Well, if you are able to unmic, come on. If not, we'll come back to you, or you can put it in the chat. But I'm saying all this to say that this is a generational opportunity, and I'm not sure how long it's going to last. We don't know. This is a President Biden initiative, but what I'm telling you, there has never been a time in history that has proposed or allowed such a great opportunity for minorities, women, veterans, LGBTQ, disabled, underserved communities to have such an opportunity. And as Dr. D reminded us last week, it's only about, I think Black Enterprise did a, Dr. D did a, oh, somebody's unmuted. I'm like, okay, we got you. I'm coming back to you. But I think that he mentioned last week, Black Enterprise did a study and looked at data, and it is less than 2% of Black-owned companies that have contracts with the federal government when our population is what percent, Dr. D?
We're the third largest population in the United States.
Bam, there it is. So this go ahead, hold on just a minute. So this is an opportunity for us to get after it. Go ahead, lady.
Yes, that was SBA data. I think someone also shared it last week. I've actually worked on programs where I witnessed like how that happens. So this is an excellent opportunity, and that this administration is being more transparent about the issues because they'll meet the disadvantaged business goals, but they don't break down the data by race like they should. And I'm just glad to see this, then all the initiatives around it to create some equity, within government contracts, because this has been a long-standing problem.
Absolutely. Deidre, I saw you unmute. Thank you, Chanel, for that. You're right. There's never been a time
You're welcome.
where they've been more transparent and saying we are going to do something and challenging the agencies to have an action plan to do it and holding folks accountable. Go ahead, Deidre.
No, I didn't have a question. I'm sorry. I tried to give you a thumbs up and I hit the wrong button.
Well, welcome, lady. Now you know next time how to come on up. Well, we're going to go ahead and close out. Thank you for joining us this evening. I want to thank everybody. We've had a bunch of folks come in and out of the room, but Dr. D, Coach Chanel, thank you so much for joining us. And y'all, I'm just going to put this out here, Dr. D. We're going to stop talking about it. Sometimes you just got to put something out there publicly so that it'll hold us all accountable. But we're going to do a conference next year, okay? We're going to do a conference around equity and government contracting. So stand by. We're gonna meet and get this together so we can launch it next year. And so I want to say, first of all, get knowledgeable about what the Executive Order 13985 is holding the government accountable for. And then second of all, I'm going to mute you, Deidre. And then second of all, understand, don't just go to whitehouse.gov/equity and read the summaries of the report. If you are looking to be do business with energy, I got the opportunity to speak with the OSDBU director at Energy, and I'm just gonna this week, and he talked about his equity action plan. He said his is around, he's former Army, we love acronyms. It's around 3 S's: simplify, standardize, and serve these underserved communities in a better way. He said, coming from industry, and he has a background, he speaks Russian. Imagine that, a brother who speaks Russian. But he said he could not believe the number of acronyms that were present. And then they have like hundreds of labs you know, across the country. And each of these labs have different, you know, different languages. And he wants to standardize the process so that if you're doing
Change
business
the perspective of HBCU football. Make everyone step up to the plate and do what's right by these kids.
What struck you?
Who's talking? Oh, who's talking? Okay. So, so anyway, he said, simplify, standardize, and serve. And then he talked about, you know, the importance of the small business program managers. But again, each agency, I just gave you a couple of examples, is going to approach getting to the goal of 15% by the year 2025 and 12% in the year 2023 differently. So that's why it's so important that you understand not just the summary and not just the overall concept, but what are they trying to do and getting into that strategy and getting in to see the right people. So again, we're here every Wednesday, 7. I guess we did go to 8:30 because my adult son came and kissed me and said, "Deuces, Mom, I'm going to hang out with my friends." So he ate dinner and left me. But anyway, I'm sure it's much more fun to celebrate with his birthday with his friends than his mom. So we'll pick up on that this weekend. But we're here every Wednesday, 7 to 8:30. I want to again thank Dr. Deed, Chanel, Coach. Really, really appreciate you all joining me on the journey. Stand by because we are going to do something virtual and in person in 2023. I'm hoping it's early 2023. But I do want to say that it's been my pleasure. You could be any place in the world, but you chose to be here. You chose to invest in your business, to join the community, understand the conversation, and I'm thankful. God bless you. May God enlarge your territory. May He keep you from evil, and may He keep evil from you. We'll see you next week. Bless you. Dr. D, let's talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. D, let's talk and get our meeting together. And then we'll get Chanel and the rest of the gang. Bless you. Thank you again. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good night.